Hi and welcome back to the Longevity Lab. I'm Tanya Malik Chawla. Today we're going to talk about metabolic flexibility. What does it mean and why your body should be able to burn both fat and carbs effectively. Now in simple terms, if your body is stuck in fat storage mode, you'll find yourself feeling tired after meals, struggling to lose weight, or if you're relying on caffeine to get through the day, that's called metabolic inflexibility. And over 80% of adults today have this without even knowing it. So in this video, I'm going to break down what metabolic flexibility actually means from a functional medicine perspective. And then I'll tell you how can you tell if you've lost it and 3 ways or 3 biohacks in which you can start building this metabolic flexibility again. So in simple terms, metabolic flexibility is your body's ability to switch between burning glucose and burning fat depending on what's available and what you're doing in that moment. In a healthy state, you should be able to burn carbs effectively after a meal and then switch gears into burning fat between meals or during sleep without constant hunger or energy crashes. When your body loses this ability, and this can happen due to insulin resistance, chronic stress, inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, this is when you become metabolically inflexible. And this means your body is now going to hold on to fat. So more fat storage, more cravings, higher risk of metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and even cognitive decline. By the end of this video, you'll really understand the science behind this metabolic inflexibility. You'll also realize how can you self-check and walk away with 3 functional medicine approved biohacks to get started on building your metabolic flexibility. All right, let's start by decoding this fuel switching at the mitochondrial level. See, metabolic flexibility happens at this mitochondrial level, which by the way is the power plant of your cells. Now, when you're in a healthy state, this power plant switches between glucose oxidation and fat oxidation depending on what's easily available. Insulin controls that switch. When insulin sensitivity is high, your cells can respond quickly to the fuel changes. But when insulin resistance develops, your body stays stuck in glucose burning mode, which means you can't effectively tap into the stored fat anymore. And your cells become slow to respond or stop responding to the insulin in your blood as effectively, which means that the uptaking of the sugar from your bloodstream also slows down, which translates into energy crashes even when your blood sugar levels stay high. So let's further look at the role of insulin sensitivity. See, in functional medicine, we don't just look at fasting blood glucose because, as I've said this before, this measure is highly fluctuating. Anything from a poor night's sleep to chronic stress to even an extensive workout the day before can give you a high fasting blood sugar level. That's why we look at fasting insulin and OMA-IR along with postprandial glucose to see how your body is actually handling this fuel. Now, you can have a fasting blood glucose of 90 and then a fasting insulin of 12. That means you're already in a state of insulin resistance and reduced metabolic flexibility. Remember, insulin resistance happens years before you become diabetic. Next, let's understand the role of inflammation and how this damages your mitochondria. See, chronic inflammation or systematic inflammation, which means that you are inflamed at a cellular level and is not necessarily coming from a source of infection. This kind of inflammation is caused by diets high in omega-6 and low in omega-3. I've said this before that we need a ratio of 4:1 for prime or optimal health, but the kind of life that we live today, all of us or most of us get a 17:1 ratio. And the biggest culprit of this high omega-6 is seed oils, high sugar diets, and gut dysbiosis, all of which damages mitochondrial enzymes like CPT1, which are essential for fatty acid oxidation, which means that even if you have a lot of stored fat, your cells can't burn it effectively. Now, also your hormones influence your metabolism. Number 1 being high cortisol levels from chronic stress, which keeps your glucose high. Remember, it's an antagonist to insulin. That means it suppresses insulin sensitivity, essentially telling your body to store fat centrally or belly fat. And belly fat is the biggest blow to your metabolic flexibility. Alright, so while testing your markers is the gold standard to see what your metabolic health looks like, here's a quick self-check to analyze or self-assess your metabolic flexibility in your current state. Number 1, you get energy crashes 1 to 2 hours after meals. Number 2, you get very angry when you are hungry. Number 3, you crave sugar or caffeine late in the afternoon. Number 4, you just cannot lose fat, specifically belly fat, despite eating clean and exercising. And lastly, your fasting insulin is above 5 or your HbA1c is above 5.3. All of these are signs that you are metabolically inflexible. Okay, so finally, let's jump into the 3 functional medicine strategies to improve your metabolic flexibility. Number 1, and honestly my favorite, I talk about this very, very often, is protein first eating. I believe that rather than counting calories, all of us should be counting our macro goals, specifically our protein goals. Now, protein before carbs in a meal blunts post-meal glucose spikes, lowers insulin demand, and stabilizes energy. This also supports insulin sensitivity over time. How do you do this correctly? Make sure you're getting at least 25 grams of protein every single meal, or at least your main meals. This means even 2 boiled eggs or a scoop of a clean whey protein or a clean plant protein before carbs can go a long way. 1, in ensuring you're getting enough protein or your protein is optimized. 2nd, doing the protein first eating, which is going to blunt or balance your blood sugar spikes and improve your insulin sensitivity. Number 2, one of the easiest biohacks and honestly super effective is walking after meals. Just a 10 to 15 minute light walk after eating activates GLUT4 transporters in muscle cells, helping pull glucose out of your bloodstream without extra insulin release. This is just not something that improves post-meal glucose control, but also reduces inflammatory impact of these high glucose spikes. Trust me, this is one of the best ways to manage your blood glucose levels and improve your metabolism. Now, this is also better, or at least in my opinion, better than fasting for a lot of people. While fasting can help some people, but if you're dealing with perimenopause, adrenal fatigue, or hormonal imbalances, extended fasting windows can stress your system further. But walking after meals is super gentle, effective, and hormone-friendly way, or is a hormone-friendly way to improve your metabolic flexibility really, really fast. How do you do this? Simply walk at a comfortable pace. That means you're able to still talk while walking, and focus on moving your legs for at least 10 to 15 minutes after each meal or each large meal. All right, I know I've said this before, but even this one is my favorite: strength training. I'm a big advocate for strength training, especially for women above 35. Now, remember, I've said this before, muscle is your biggest longevity organ, but muscle tissue is also the largest sink for glucose. Activating GLUT4 transporters through resistance training improves glucose disposal without needing insulin and increases fat burning capacity significantly. Your muscles can literally soak up the blood glucose levels, store it amongst themselves or within themselves to utilize for energy creation. And how do you effectively do this? Is by doing minimum 2 to 3 full body sessions a week, and focus or at least don't miss the large muscles like legs, back, and chest. Ideally, you should be doing the full body strength training, but for maximum benefit from a metabolic standpoint, working these large muscles goes a long way. Metabolic flexibility isn't just about cutting carbs or going keto. Honestly, it's not really about going keto at all. It's about training your body to handle both the fuels, glucose and fat, efficiently and flexibly. When your body is able to do this, you'll have steady energy, better body composition, and a much lower long-term disease risk. Alright, if you want to go further and you want to reset your metabolic flexibility with science-based step-by-step guidance, I'm releasing a 15-day functional medicine-based metabolic health reset challenge in my free-for-all community, the Biohackers Club. It is linked in the descriptions, and I've also pinned the comments so you can find it easily. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.